He told her he was in Tokyo on business, but a colleague sent a photo of him kissing his ex in the Maldives. No apology. No explanation. Just silence and lies. But Sienna Blake didn't beg. She vanished quietly, took the clients, the contracts, and her brilliance with her. Now he's ruined. And she's the name the industry can't stop talking about. The office buzzed with the usual tension that came with big client pitch week. People moved like caffeinated ghosts, armed with espresso shots and half-eaten granola bars. I was in the conference room with the strategy team, finishing a final walkthrough for the Henderson account, a campaign I'd been building with Derek for 6 grueling weeks. 3 slides to go. I could already feel the promise of a quiet night at home, a warm bath, and maybe, if I could stay awake, catching up on my murder podcast. My phone buzzed once under the table. Then again. I ignored it, still narrating slide 31 about customer touchpoints. Then it buzzed a third time, insistent, awkward. I glanced down discreetly. Harper Lynn. A well-meaning disaster wrapped in vintage cardigans and oversized earrings. Harper worked in accounting and texted like she was narrating a reality show. Harper. OMG, small world. Look who I saw today in Maldives. Skull skull skull. You two must have patched things up after all? Looking good, girl. I frowned. Maldives? Derek was supposed to be in Tokyo, representing our agency at a tech summit. My thumb hovered over the message. There were pictures. I tapped. Photo 1, a beach. Blue so clear it looked fake. Photo 2, a tray of cocktails under palm trees. Photo 3, Derek Halston, my boyfriend of 3 years, shirtless, tanned and smiling. His arm around a woman in a white bikini. Her chin tilted toward him, eyes closed. His lips were on her cheek. Her blonde hair clung wet to her shoulders. Lena Ford. His ex. The one he said wrecked his ability to trust. The one he said he hadn't spoken to in years. The one he told me I never had to worry about. I stared at the photo. Didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Didn't move. The 4th photo. Alina laughing at something off camera, their hands intertwined. The 5th. Derek mid-toast holding a champagne glass, smiling toward her with the kind of warmth that used to be mine. My pulse slowed. Harper's bubble blinked again. Small world, right? I only noticed them 'cause of that shirt Derek used to wear in the office. What are the odds, lol? I replied with a single red heart emoji. Nothing else. Then I locked my phone screen. Turned to face my team. Smiled. Let's reset slide 34, I said smoothly. The formatting's off-center. When the meeting ended, people clapped. The client VP gave me a thumbs up. Our director said I was unshakable under pressure. I smiled, nodded, and returned to my desk like I hadn't just watched my relationship implode in 1080p clarity. Back at my desk, I plugged in my phone and opened the photo again. Derek. In the Maldives. With Alina. On our dream trip. The one he and I had talked about taking on our 3rd anniversary. Which is next month. The Maldives, where we planned to drink from coconuts and sleep in an overwater bungalow and pretend the world was quieter than it really was. He went. He just didn't bring me. I stared at the photo until it blurred. Not from tears, those hadn't come. Just the weight of it pressing against me like wet concrete. I opened my laptop. New document. Untitled. Then I typed. Exit plan. Confidential. Font, Arial. Margins, 1 inch. Mood, surgical. Tessa Rhodes called the moment I forwarded her the photos. I didn't even text, just sent the image with a subject line. Apparently I don't exist. She didn't say hello. What the actual hell am I looking at? Came her voice, sharp as scissors. Derek, I said, still watching the waves in the background of the photo. Derek, and is that Alina? In the Maldives. Apparently. She made a sound like she was ready to throw her phone. I always said his jawline was too symmetrical to be trusted. Pause. Then softer. Sienna. I'm so sorry. I exhaled slowly, eyes still fixed on the photo. I'm not. You're not. Nope. Okay, so what do we do? Her tone shifted, brighter, dangerous. Do we torch his car? Replace his protein powder with laxatives? I know a guy. I almost smiled. No screaming, I said. No drama. Who are you and what have you done with Sienna Blake? I'm going to disappear. Silence. Then a slow, impressed exhale. Oh, you're going quiet, destroyer. I love this journey for you. I want him to come home to everything perfect. Champagne candles. A little note. Then nothing. No calls. No answers. No me. God, that's cold. That's ice queen chic. That's, she gasped. Anna Winter leaves him on read. I closed the photo finally. My throat felt dry. Tessa. Yeah. I'm done with giving second chances to people who weaponize my loyalty. There was a pause. Then, about damn time. That night I sat in our shared apartment. It was clean, quiet, dimly lit by the gold lamp Derek liked because it felt expensive. I made tea and stood at the kitchen counter, scrolling through our old texts. He had messaged me just the night before. Derek, miss you. Tokyo's all work. I'll make it up to you soon. Can't wait to tell you everything. He didn't know I already knew. I replied, can't wait either. Love you. Let him believe I was still his. Still waiting. Still in the dark. Because when the light finally switched on, it would be blinding. I didn't go through the bank accounts. I didn't look at the commission sheets. I didn't touch anything financial. That would come later. Tonight was about deciding. I took the dress I had bought for our anniversary, black silk, low back, elegant but fierce, and hung it on the back of the bedroom door. The tag still dangled. It swayed slightly from the ceiling fan. I stared at it for a long time. Then I poured myself a glass of wine. Opened a new folder on my desktop. Named it, Reclamation. Inside it, a single file. Exit plan. Confidential. Inside that, a single sentence. You can lie to me, Derek Halston. But you cannot erase me. I'd always let Derek handle the finances. It wasn't some submissive choice, I just trusted him. He had a minor in finance and a major obsession with spreadsheets. It started innocently. He tracked our grocery bills in a shared Google Sheet, color-coded. Then came the travel budget doc, the mortgage projections, the retirement planner he sent me just for fun. I laughed, teased him about his nerd-in-a-suit tendencies, and let him organize our financial life. And while I'd been building pitch decks and leading client calls and burning myself out for our mutual future, he'd been building an exit plan. I just didn't know it until now. The morning after Harper's accidental reveal, I called in sick. Not with drama, just a simple message to HR. Migraine. Working from home if needed. Then I pulled out my laptop, made a pot of dark roast coffee and sat at our dining table, his decorative succulent centerpiece staring at me like it knew what I was about to do. I opened our joint bank account. First red flag. The Maldives resort charge. $4,382.55. Processed 5 days ago. Second. My name wasn't listed on the most recent transaction summary. Only Derek's. Somehow he had updated the account permissions. Interesting. I clicked deeper. 2 weeks ago, a large transfer, $3,000, labeled as consulting fee, had gone out to a personal account I didn't recognize. 5 days before that, a $1,125 charge at Vera Fine Jewelry. 3 months ago, a $700 weekend transaction at a boutique inn in Carmel I'd never been to. He told me it was a corporate retreat. I remembered because I ordered Thai takeout and spent the weekend formatting his pitch deck. My mouth went dry. I opened a private spreadsheet and began logging everything. Date. Transaction. Amount. Label. Actual context. Line after line formed like bricks in a wall. A wall that had been slowly, silently closing in around me. When I tried to log into our joint investment account, the password failed. Twice. On the third attempt, I was locked out. A message blinked. Too many login attempts. Please contact the administrator. I texted Derek. Hey, investment account locked me out again. Can you resend the login? He replied 30 minutes later. New system update. I'll reset it later, babe. It's a mess right now. Sure was. I checked the premium credit card, only to find I'd been removed as an authorized user. Not frozen. Not downgraded. The last few statements were still in the cloud folder, though. He'd forgotten to change permissions there. I downloaded all 12 months. Printed the full year. Then I found it. 6 separate dinner charges at Dante's, a place we used to go together. 1 hotel charge under the name Ford, Alina's last name. 1 booking for a couple's massage at Serenity Spa. I was the one working 12-hour days while he treated her to body scrubs and grilled scallops. The list grew. My face didn't change, but my heart, it hardened with every charge. By afternoon I was a different person. I wasn't broken. I wasn't angry. I was awake. Called Mira. "Can you do me a favor?" I asked. Quietly. Of course. I need all internal commission breakdowns for our joint projects. Henderson, Greystone, Revatech. Don't ask why. He didn't. An hour later she sent a zipped folder labeled Sienna only.zip. I didn't open it yet. I wasn't ready to see just how far he'd gone. Instead I opened a browser tab. Searched. How to open a solo account with protected privacy clauses. Another tab. How to secure a PO box. Another. How to set up limited access business checking. By 5 p.m. I'd opened a checking account in my name only. A savings account marked personal emergency. A secondary business account under the name Blake Consulting Group. An idea I'd once sketched on a napkin 2 years ago, now suddenly real. I also submitted the application for a PO box. Changed the delivery address on 3 of my credit cards. And ordered a secure flash drive with military-grade encryption. I texted Derek before bed. "Hope Tokyo's treating you okay. I bought wine for when you get back. Miss you." He replied almost instantly. "Miss you more." Counting the days. I locked my phone, pushed the financial statements into a folder and wrote on the label, Truth Financial Edition. Then I made tea. Sat in the dark. Let the quiet wrap around me. 3 years I gave him. Of loyalty. Of partnership. Of belief. And in return he handed me a masterclass in betrayal funded by my own trust. That night I slept like a ghost. Not restless. Not dreaming. Just invisible. Exactly what I needed to become. The first hint came during a call with Henderson and Company. We were walking through their Q3 deliverables. Something I'd personally outlined, written, and presented. Derek wasn't on the call. He was still allegedly in Tokyo, which I now knew was nothing more than a mojito-fueled fiction. Halfway through the conversation Henderson's lead strategist, Alana, said something odd. "I'm glad Derek's handling this now," she said casually. "Honestly, I assumed you were stepping back from lead roles." I blinked. "Why would you think that?" There was a pause. "Oh, just the last few emails. They've all come from him. He said you were shifting focus to operations and admin." I smiled tightly. I must have missed that memo. She laughed awkwardly. "Oh. Sorry, I didn't mean anything by it. We just love working with you." I ended the call with a practiced smile, logged off and stared at the screen. Edmund. He told them I was stepping back. I hadn't just been excluded. I'd been repositioned, rebranded from lead strategist to glorified support staff. That afternoon Mira stopped by my desk with a folder clutched tightly to her chest. "I shouldn't be showing you this," she said softly. "Which means I absolutely need to see it." She handed it over. "Internal reporting. I filtered for anything with both your names over the last 6 months." I opened the folder. Client after client was listed. Henderson, Greystone, even that chaotic TechSmith account I'd revived last year. Next to my name, support, operations, coordination. Next to his, lead, acquisition, strategist. Every time we landed a big pitch together, Derek had labeled my work as background. The result? He got 85% of the commission. I was credited like a glorified assistant. Mira sat quietly as I turned the pages, her eyes scanning my face. "I didn't know," she said finally. "I thought maybe it was an error at first." "It wasn't." "No, it wasn't." I closed the folder. How many people know about this? Only whoever's managing the back-end spreadsheets. And HR maybe. I nodded. "Good." She hesitated. "You're not going to confront him?" "No." Her brow furrowed. "I'm going to replace him." Later that night I met Tessa for drinks. She'd already claimed our usual booth at the bar across from the office, her black heels up on the seat like she owned the place. The waitress didn't even ask for our order, just brought 2 old fashions and a plate of truffle fries. Tessa handed me a napkin. I didn't need it for my mouth, I needed it for my rage. "He's reclassified you as admin?" she snapped. While you're writing every single brief, building every client relationship, Landing every post-launch upsell? I nodded. She took a fry, bit down furiously and muttered, "This man is begging for divine punishment." "Don't worry. I'm handling it." She leaned in. "How?" I hesitated. "I'm thinking of leaving." She blinked. "Leaving the agency?" "I have the files. The clients. I just need an out. A bridge." Tessa's lips curled into a grin. "I might know just the bridge." The next afternoon I sent a message to Julian Marks. He ran Hollow & Marks, a boutique strategy agency that had outpaced us the last 2 years. Young, polished, brilliant, he'd poached 2 of our clients in the last quarter alone. We'd always had a professional rivalry, sometimes flirting with being allies. He'd once said in passing, "If you ever get tired of being the brains behind someone else's spotlight, call me." That was a year ago. Today I called. We met at an understated coffee shop tucked behind a bookstore in Hayes Valley. Julian was already there, his laptop closed, a pair of sleek tortoiseshell glasses resting beside his courte-à-deux. "Sienna Blake," he said, rising to greet me. "Either the apocalypse is near, or you're finally ready." I smirked. "Maybe both." We sat. I didn't offer excuses or small talk. I slid a manila folder across the table. Inside, a sample of my recent work. Case studies, strategy decks, email correspondences that showed just who clients actually spoke to. Actual impact metrics, ROI increases, click-through data, sales conversions. Julian flipped through it like he was flipping through treasure maps. "Impressive," he said. "I'm exploring options," I said carefully. "Hypothetically, if I were available next month, would you have room?" Julian closed the folder. "Sienna, I would make room." I took a sip of my coffee. "We're not talking lateral move," he added. "I'm offering a lead strategist role. You choose your clients. You get your own team. Starting salary? 30% higher than what you're making now." I raised an eyebrow. "You don't even know what I'm making." "I know Derek Halston," he said, sipping slowly. "I know your agency. I know what they pay women who do 90% of the work and get 10% of the glory." I didn't smile, but I wanted to. "This stays between us. Always." He slid a business card across the table. "Call me when you're ready. Or when he gets back and realizes you're gone." That night I opened a new document. Clients, soft targets. I made a list. E. Henderson, Wilson and Company, Pecksmith, Alder PR, Brand Solutions. 5 major clients I had led. 5 relationships I'd nurtured. 5 accounts that would likely follow me wherever I went. I didn't need all 5. I only needed 3 to tip the balance. With Julian's firm or not, the math worked in my favor. I saved the list. Backed it up to a private drive. Then I pulled out my phone and texted Derek. "Thinking about our anniversary next month. Can't wait to celebrate with you." He replied within a minute. "Same here. I have something big planned. You'll love it." I stared at his message, my face expressionless. I had something big planned too. And he wouldn't love it. Not one bit. The first thing I packed was the cactus. It sat by the window, barely alive, a gift from Derek on our 2nd anniversary. "Low maintenance," he'd said. "Like you. Quiet and steady." I'd laughed at the time, not realizing how easily those words could be twisted into insult. I didn't take it because it had sentimental value. I took it because it reminded me how much I'd tolerated under the guise of being quiet and steady. That was over. By Monday morning I had a new phone number. A burner, prepaid, used only for rental applications, banking, and one contact. Mira. She'd become more than just my analyst. She was now my silent accomplice. I didn't tell Tessa yet. Not because I didn't trust her, but because her rage was too loud. I needed stillness right now. Precision. I'd found a studio apartment across town, month-to-month lease, paid through a newly created LLC. I used Blake Creative Consulting on the lease documents. Clean, professional. No red flags. I'd told the agent I needed privacy because I was working on high-profile political branding campaigns. She didn't ask further. She just handed me the keys and smiled at the lie. Back at our shared apartment I started making lists. Category A. Essentials. Clothes, files, personal documents, laptop, flash drives, keepsakes. Category B. Things to retrieve later. Books, artwork, kitchenware. Category C. Things to leave behind. Joint purchases, gifts from Derek, anything tainted by him. I created a Google sheet titled Departure Inventory and color-coded everything. It was perhaps the most heartbreakingly efficient I'd ever been. In the back of Derek's sock drawer I found a velvet box. I hesitated before opening it. My heartbeat didn't quicken, didn't race. I already knew. A diamond ring. Delicate. Thoughtfully chosen. A size 6. My size. So he had been planning to propose. Not to build a future. To bury his guilt. Maybe it was meant for after the Maldives trip. Maybe it was his version of buying forgiveness in advance. I held the ring under the light. Flittered. But it felt hollow. I placed it back in the box and set it aside, not to take with me but to leave somewhere he'd find it. I kept up appearances. Posted a story on Instagram of the wine bottle I'd picked out for our upcoming anniversary. Tagged our favorite restaurant. Captioned it, counting the days, yellow heart, #Tokyo widow, #almost home. The comments rolled in. Tessa, you two are so grossly cute it should be illegal. Harper, can't wait for Maldives round 2. Even Derek commented. Home soon. Can't wait to make it up to you ring. The emoji was deliberate, I was sure of it. I didn't reply. I just took another screenshot. I kept packing at night. My studio's key now sat on my keychain, nestled behind our condo fob. I'd walk to the guest room closet, the one Derek never opened, and slowly shift items over to Myra's trunk, which she'd let me store in her car trunk. She'd pick up one bag at a time after work, no questions asked. You okay? She asked once. Almost done, I said. That was enough. I left the watch. It had taken me 2 months to save for it. It was meant to be his anniversary gift. Every second yours was engraved inside. I wrapped it back in its box untouched and left it beside the ring. A love note with no recipient. Every item I moved out felt like peeling off another layer of a life I no longer wanted to live. The couch we bought together? I left it. The prints I chose for the hallway? Gone. His hideous coffee mugs shaped like animals? Smashed, accidentally on purpose. But I took my files. My books. My old journals. A press ticket stub from our first concert that once made me smile. And the cactus. I left the roots dry. Let it tough it out. Seemed poetic. One night as I wiped down the kitchen counters, I caught my reflection in the microwave. I looked calm. That scared me more than anything. As that meant I was ready. 3 days before Derek's scheduled return I texted. Want me to make your favorite steak for Sunday night? Thinking candles, wine and something slinky. He replied within seconds. Babe, I love you. Yes to all of that. Can't wait to see you in that dress. Tokyo's been rough. Need home. I imagined him typing that beside Alina. I wondered if he believed his own words. Either way, it didn't matter. I printed a short note on cream stationery. Neat. Elegant. No emotion. Welcome home. Missed your scent. I folded it. Tucked it next to the cologne I had reordered for the big night. Everything looked like love. But love had already moved out. The day before Derek's return I woke up before dawn. Not from nerves. From clarity. I boiled water for tea, pressed play on a lo-fi jazz playlist and opened my checklist. My handwriting looked serene. Not the frantic scrawl of a woman on the edge, but the steady lines of someone executing a plan. Step 1. Stage the apartment. The living room came first. I vacuumed. Dusted. Lit a vanilla bean candle. Then, using the leftover birthday banner from last spring, I cut the letters to form a new one. Welcome home. I hung it slightly crooked like it had been put up in a rush. Then I drove to the local market. Picked up 2 steaks, a bottle of imported Cabernet, fingerling potatoes, his favorite roasted red pepper hummus and 6 Stella Artois bottles. His taste hadn't changed. Mine had. Back home I arranged the groceries in the fridge. Cut herbs. Set the table. Tucked the wine into the fridge with a post-it that read, Tonight. Just us. Step 2. Personal touches. I laundered the bedsheets in lavender softener. Folded them military style. Placed his robe on the bed. Laid out a fresh towel in the bathroom. I refilled his cologne and put it on the dresser, beside a small envelope. Inside, a handwritten note. Just 2 lines. Missed your scent. Welcome home. The ring box I'd found? I placed it carefully on the kitchen counter. Next to it, 2 champagne flutes and a chilled bottle of Veuve Clicquot, positioned at just the right angle so the diamond would catch the afternoon light. The apartment didn't look abandoned. It looked loved. Lived in. It looked like someone was about to be surprised by the woman who adored him. It was a trap made entirely of illusion. Step 3. Witnesses. Alibis. Public proof. I met Jenna, an old industry acquaintance, for coffee. We laughed. Took a selfie. She posted it to her story and tagged me with, "Sienna's counting down to reunion mode." Yellow heart. Then I swung by the salon. The stylist chatted as she curled my hair. "Big date coming up?" she asked. I smiled in the mirror. "Anniversary night. I want to look like I've missed him." I left a generous tip. At the grocery store, I asked the cashier if the wine was romantic enough for someone returning from Tokyo. She winked. "He's lucky to have you, honey." At 3:45 p.m., I posted a photo of the banner. Captioned it, "Counting down the hours, dizzy #homecoming #M+S forever." Derek's mother commented hearts. Tessa deemed, "I better see a ring on that finger soon." Even Derek responded, "Soon, babe. Can't wait to hold you." By 4:30 I was at the new apartment. The one with no photos, no shared mugs, no furniture that had heard arguments or apologies. Just boxes and peace. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Derek. Surprise. Got an earlier flight. Landing at 6 p.m. Don't tell anyone. I want tonight just for us. Big news to share. I froze. My breath stopped. I had less than 90 minutes. The timeline was gone. I had to improvise. I called the leasing office of my new building. "Is there any way I can get the keys tonight instead of tomorrow?" Pause. "I'll pay the rush fee." They agreed. At 5:10 p.m. I had the keys in hand. Called Mira. "Final batch," she asked. "Front porch. 1 box. You'll know which." "I'll bring it over now." "You okay?" "No," I said. "I'm better than okay." By 5:30 I was back at his apartment. I adjusted the champagne bottle slightly. Lit 1 candle. Slipped off the necklace he gave me last Christmas and left it beside the wine. Then I placed my set of keys, apartment, mailbox, garage, on the counter. Next to the ring. I took one last look at the home I'd shared with him. The throw blanket I had chosen. The rug I paid for. The framed photo of us in Big Sur. Him laughing, me leaning into his chest. None of it belonged to me anymore. I locked the door behind me at 5:47 p.m. By 6:05 p.m., I was sitting on the floor of my new apartment. The cactus I'd rescued stood by the window. My laptop was connected to the security system. 4 feeds. Living room. Kitchen. Bedroom. Entryway. 6:12 p.m. Derek entered. Wheeling a suitcase. Hair styled. White button-down, half unbuttoned like some returning prince. "Babe," he called out, smiling. He glanced around. Saw the banner. His smile widened. He walked into the kitchen, opened the fridge, chuckled. Then he spotted the champagne. The ring. The note. He paused. The moment was brief. His smile dimmed, just slightly. He glanced over his shoulder as if expecting me to jump out. But no one did. 6:17 p.m. He opened the bedroom door. Saw the robe, the lavender-scented sheets. No suitcase. No signs of me. He checked the bathroom. Paused. No shoes. No toiletries. He came back to the kitchen. Picked up the ring box. Opened it. Then the shift began. 6:23 p.m. His phone came out. He called me. Straight to voicemail. Called again. Then stood there, motionless. He leaned against the counter, breathing harder now. Looked around the apartment like a man waking up inside a hallucination. I watched it all unfold in silence. Like theater. Except I was no longer on stage. I was the director. The lighting crew. The exit. I muted the sound. Closed the laptop. Picked up my cactus. Poured water into the pot. This time it didn't die. Neither did I. By the time Derek realized I wasn't coming home, he had called me 8 times. All of them went straight to voicemail. The messages started out playful. Confused even. "Babe, are you in the bath? Got the best surprise. You won't believe it. Call me back." 10 minutes later. "Hey, I'm starting to freak out a little. Everything's here. But not you. Where are you? Then, are you okay?" Sienna, this isn't funny. And finally, what the hell is going on? Did something happen? Pick up the damn phone. I didn't. Instead, I made tea in my new apartment. The walls still echoed. My few essentials sat in neat boxes, stacked like declarations of independence. At 7:44 p.m., Derek's mother, Elaine Halston, entered the apartment. She used her emergency key, something she insisted on keeping when we first moved in, just in case. I watched her on the security feed. She looked around slowly, her brow furrowed. Said something to Derek that made him throw up his hands. He paced. She gestured. Her voice rose, finger pointing at the champagne and the ring. He slumped into the dining chair, head in his hands. I muted the audio. I didn't need the sound. This was the performance I'd been preparing them for. By 9 p.m. I had 32 missed calls, 14 voicemails, and over 40 texts. The tone had changed. Where are you? I can explain everything. Please don't do this. Let's talk. Please. For real. This doesn't have to end like this. Each message reeked of panic, not heartbreak. Exposure. Not loss. I didn't answer. I didn't even read them all. Instead, I sent a single message to Mira. It's done. I'm safe. Details tomorrow. The next morning, my inbox lit up like wildfire. Client emails. Meeting cancellations. Internal bulletins. Then a message from Tessa. What? Do. The office is in a tailspin. Also, I love you. Text me. When Mira arrived with croissants and wide eyes, I was already halfway through a black coffee. She sat down without a word, then pulled out a flash drive and slid it across the table. Client commissions. Email threads. Time logs. Project credits. All time-stamped. I asked. Everything. And the reclassification sheets? Color-coded. I smiled. You're terrifying. He grinned. You taught me well. We rode the elevator to the office in silence. People looked at me strangely. Some confused. Some respectful. Goldstein, the agency's in-house legal advisor, spotted me before I could reach my desk. Miss Blake, may I have a moment? Of course, I said calmly, following him into his office. He closed the door and gestured to a seat. You're aware things are complicated this morning. I am, I replied. I've been told you have documents? I placed a neat folder on his desk. Inside, everything. Evidence of Derek's financial misclassification. Client communications showing he deliberately minimized my involvement. Screenshots of statements he gave clients about my step back. Goldstein opened it. His face shifted with every page. By page 4 he looked ill. I'm not looking for a war, I said quietly. He looked up. I'm offering my formal resignation. Effective immediately. He cleared his throat. Do you intend to file claims? I want a clean break. No non-compete enforcement. Client choice regarding account transition. Accurate public attribution for my work. He closed the folder. You've been planning this for a while. I didn't answer. May I ask where you're going? No, I said, but I smiled. As I stepped out of his office, I saw Derek standing across the hall. His shirt was wrinkled. His hair uncombed. He looked like a man halfway through a breakdown. He took a step toward me. Sienna. I held up a hand. No. He stopped. His jaw clenched, eyes searching my face. I didn't mean for it to get like this. I know, I said. That's what makes it worse. Then I walked past him. By lunch, I had cleared out my desk. The few personal items I kept fit into one tote bag. The rest, the framed photo of our first pitch win, the cactus, the world's best strategist mug, all stayed behind. Let him keep the trophies. I had the victory. On my way out, my burner phone buzzed. Unknown number. I hesitated, then picked up. A woman's voice. Polished. This is Alina Ford. We should talk. I blinked. Excuse me. I know what you think you saw. But things aren't as they appear. I almost laughed. Oh, were you not on a private beach in the Maldives with my boyfriend? Sienna, please. Let me explain. I deal in evidence, Alina. Not excuses. I hung up. Blocked the number. Then turned the phone off entirely. At 3 p.m. I returned to my new apartment. I placed the cactus by the window. Sat on the floor. And breathed. Dia came over at 6 p.m. with wine and that look she always got when chaos turned into gossip. You really did it, she whispered, kicking off her shoes. The office is melting. Goldstein's in meetings all day. Derek looks like a ghost. The partners are scared. Clients are pulling accounts already. I poured us both glasses. It's not revenge, I said softly. It's reclamation. She raised her glass. To disappearing. No, I corrected. To becoming someone they can't erase. 3 days after I walked out of the agency, the name Blake & Company was registered. The logo was simple, bold serif, matte black on white, and the tagline read, Clarity, Strategy, Power. I didn't want flash. I wanted legacy. The paperwork had been filed weeks before Derek ever boarded that plane to the Maldives. I didn't know what made me start it back then. Intuition maybe. Or quiet desperation. But now it wasn't theoretical anymore. It was real. Mira became my first official hire. She didn't even blink when I sent the contract. Already signed, she texted 10 minutes later. Let's go burn down an industry. Tessa joined a day later, not as a favor but as a partner. You need bite, she said. I'm bite. And sequins. She handled creative strategy. Mira took analytics. I led direction. We were small. Fierce. Our office wasn't a corner suite, not yet. It was a co-working space in a converted loft in Dogpatch. Brick walls, tall windows, overpriced coffee in the lobby. A startup's heartbeat. But it was mine. And the name on the door was mine. By the end of week 1 we had 3 signed clients. Henderson & Company who called personally and said, We've reviewed everything. You were always the engine. TechSmith who emailed, If you're gone we're gone. And Lucent Labs, a referral from Julian Marks who texted me, They're difficult. They'll test you. Which is why I told them you're the only one worth trusting. I sent him back one word, noted. Then he replied, Congratulations. You built your own kingdom. Meanwhile, Derek's silence was louder than ever. I hadn't heard from him since the office. But the news came anyway through back channels and whispered DMs. Derek Halston had been suspended pending internal investigation. Client losses. Commission misallocations. HR complaints. NDA violations. The partners were panicking. The agency was bleeding. A week later I heard he'd deleted all his social media. Vanessa, however, was more persistent. She emailed me under a burner Gmail account. Subject line, You're stronger than me. I didn't open it. I blocked the address. Filed it in a folder titled, Irrelevant. Tessa walked into the office one afternoon in red heels and a Make Bad Men Boring Again t-shirt. Guess who just tried to call me? She asked. Let me guess, I said, not looking up. Derek. Using his mom's phone. Ding ding. What did you say? She smiled. Told him I don't talk to men with collapsing reputations. Mira snorted from across the room. We worked long hours. But they were our hours. Coffee-fueled strategy sessions. Music humming through speakers. Whiteboards filled with diagrams, names, paths. Lunches on the floor. Post-it notes on every surface. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't building someone else's dream. I was building mine. And it didn't depend on anyone's permission. One evening Julian stopped by. He brought matcha lattes and a look of quiet admiration. I knew you were good, he said, setting down the drinks. But I didn't realize you were this surgical. I raised an eyebrow. Surgical. You didn't blow anything up, he said. You didn't scream. You removed yourself. And they collapsed. I smiled just slightly. Are you happy? He asked more softly. I'm becoming. He nodded like he understood that better than most. By the end of the first month, we had signed 2 more clients and were profitable. No investors. No borrowed capital. Just 3 women who knew their worth and didn't wait for validation. I had a new morning routine now. No frantic ironing, no checking Derek's calendar, no memorizing someone else's coffee order. Just 1 mug, 1 window, 1 name on the lease. On a Friday afternoon, Mira handed me a simple black envelope. Mail just came, she said. Inside, a card with gold lettering. An invitation. The annual Bay Area Branding and Strategy Gala. Hosted by the agency I once worked for. The one that tried to erase me. The one now barely holding on. Tessa leaned over my shoulder. Are we going? I looked at her. Smirked. Oh, we're going. I stared at the dress for a full minute before I unzipped the garment bag. It had hung in the back of my closet for weeks, untouched, meant for a night that never happened. Black silk, clean lines, a low back that once felt like vulnerability. Now it felt like armor. I slipped it on. No hesitation. The fabric fit differently now. Not tighter, sharper. Like it belonged to the woman I had become, not the girl who used to ask for permission in her own home. I added red lipstick and a single gold cuff. No necklace. No earrings. Minimalist. Unapologetic. The kind of look that didn't need accessories to make a statement. The gala was held at the Westbrook Grand, a converted opera house with Art Deco chandeliers and velvet curtains thick enough to drown sound. Tessa arrived first in crimson. Mira followed in midnight blue. We didn't walk in together. That was deliberate. We were no longer assistants. We were competitors. Let them whisper. Let them wonder. I walked in alone. The heels clicked against marble. People turned. Some recognized me instantly. Others needed a second. The woman who vanished. The strategist who walked away. The name on the new firm everyone was talking about. The whispers trailed like perfume. I didn't flinch. The first glass of champagne found its way into my hand before I even made it to the central hall. I nodded at past colleagues. Offered tight smiles. Exchanged safe, diplomatic greetings. No one dared ask directly. But their eyes all asked the same thing. How did you survive it? I didn't answer. Because surviving wasn't the point. I didn't survive Derek Halston. I replaced him. Julian Marks appeared just as I finished my second sip of champagne. He wore black, of course, sharp lines, slight smirk. The kind of man who always looked like he was plotting something useful. Miss Blake, he greeted, raising his glass. Mr. Marks, I replied. He leaned in slightly. You're either here to make peace, or set fire to the last pieces of what's left of them. I tilted my head. Why not both? His grin widened. I see you wore the dress. You recognize it? I saw it once in a window. You passed it twice before you finally walked in. I blinked. That was months ago. Before everything. You remember that? I remember what mattered. We didn't speak for a few seconds. Then he offered his arm. Shall we? We walked the floor slowly. People stepped aside, deliberately casual. I caught snippets. My name, my firm, my rise. Did you hear she took TechSmith with her? She left him a ring and disappeared, I swear to God. Blake and Company is on track to outsell them this quarter. I didn't correct any of it. Let the myths spread. Reality had already served its purpose. Around 9:20 p.m. he arrived. I felt it before I saw it. The air tightened. Voices hushed. Someone dropped a canopy. I turned. Derek Halston stood at the entrance in a charcoal suit that didn't fit quite right anymore. His tie was loose. His hair thinner at the temples. His confidence missing entirely. He didn't walk in. He drifted. At his side, a woman I didn't recognize. Pretty. Blonde. Young. Not Vanessa. Just a newer version of the same mistake. His eyes scanned the room. Then landed on me. He froze. I didn't look away. I smiled. Then I turned back to Julian. You promised me chocolate souffle, I said. He blinked. I did. You do now. Derek approached 20 minutes later. Not directly, circling the room slowly like someone dipping a toe into dangerous water. By the time he reached me, Julian had drifted to speak with another firm head. It was just us. Hi, Derek said. His voice was smaller than I remembered. I glanced over my shoulder. Hello. He exhaled. You look stunning. Thank you. I wasn't sure you'd come. That makes two of us. He scratched the back of his neck, a nervous tick I'd once found endearing. Now it looked like a glitch. Sienna, I held up a hand. No apologies tonight, I said gently. His eyes searched mine. I want to say. I tilted my head. Say it. He faltered. Everything's falling apart. I heard. I lost the agency. My reputation. The clients. Your fault, I said evenly. I didn't mean for this to happen. Of course you did, I said. You just didn't think I'd leave. He looked away. The woman he'd arrived with lingered in the background, glancing toward us with feigned patience. "I thought we were happy," he whispered. I smiled. "We were. Until I stopped pretending." He opened his mouth again, but I stepped forward. "Just 1 inch. Derek," I said, voice like a soft blade, "you didn't break me." His eyes flickered. "You just taught me how to rebuild." I didn't wait for him to respond. I walked away. Back to my table. Back to Julian. Back to Mira and Tessa. Back to my life. The final toast of the night was given by one of the event chairs, a man who used to interrupt me during presentations. Now he raised a glass to new voices, new firms, and the rising power of independent strategy leaders. His eyes found me mid-sentence. I didn't flinch. I raised my glass in return. Then I slipped away to the terrace. The air was cool. The city lights blinked in soft golds and steel blues. I stood by the railing looking out. The wind caught my hair. Behind me, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses echoed faintly. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. Because this was mine now. All of it. Not revenge. Not survival. Rival. The woman who had disappeared that night in the Maldives? She didn't just come back. She built an empire from the silence. The email landed at 10:08 a.m. on a Wednesday. Subject: Internal update, executive departure. No name in the subject line. No flourish. Just 2 sentences. Effective immediately, Derek Halston has stepped down from his position with the firm. We thank him for his years of service and wish him the best in his future endeavors. No mention of clients. No mention of transition plans. No mention of the scandal echoing behind those hollow words. I stared at it for a moment. Then clicked delete. That same afternoon, Mira poked her head into my new corner office. Still modest, but with my name etched into the frosted glass. "You see the press statement?" "Just did." "Cold," she said, sipping coffee. "Almost surgical." "Appropriate," I replied. Tessa leaned in from behind Mira. "So, is this the part where we buy cake or burn effigies?" I laughed. "Neither. I already ordered cake." "Of course you did." Derek's fall was quieter than expected. No public meltdown. No apology tour. Just a slow, whisper-fed disappearance. Rumors swirled. Financial misconduct, at least 2 non-disclosure settlements, and an investor quietly backing out of a new agency venture he'd tried to launch. He'd burned every bridge, including his own. I didn't think about Vanessa until someone forwarded me a post. It was from the woman Derek had brought to the gala. A quote on a pale beige background. "I let someone in too fast and they came in carrying matches." No names. Just hashtags. Hashtag trust issues, hashtag new beginnings. Her profile no longer followed Derek. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt done. Blake and company had grown fast. Faster than I expected. By month 3 we had a waiting list. By month 4 we had press. One crisp morning I opened my inbox to see the subject line that changed everything. Feature request. Women in strategy, fastest growing firms of the year. National circulation. Major outlet. Full page feature. I didn't hesitate. I wrote the piece myself. Tight, clean, focused on data and growth with one thread running quietly underneath. How women in the background become the architects of empires. I never mentioned Derek. Not once. That was the real power. Julian sent flowers. A note tucked into the bouquet read, "Not bad for someone who was once background." I smiled. Then texted him. "Wait until you see what I'm building next." The leadership summit was held in San Diego. I was one of 4 keynote speakers. It was the first time I stood in front of 1,000 people without needing to prove I belonged. I didn't give them a sob story. I gave them metrics, movement, market shifts. Afterward, someone asked me, "How did you do it? How did you get out?" I answered honestly. I stopped making excuses for other people's comfort and started investing in my own clarity. They wrote it down like scripture. When I got home that night, the city lights of San Francisco blinked at me like familiar stars. I stayed late in the office alone, as I often did when things felt too big to hold. The space was quiet. Walls half-painted, cork boards filled with visions and deadlines. A team of women who laughed too loudly and worked too hard. It wasn't glamorous yet, but it was mine. I poured a glass of wine, sat at the windowsill, took off my shoes, and I thought about the Maldives. That first photo. The shock that didn't break me. The silence I weaponized. The man who once called me his quiet strength. And never thought I might roar. I thought about the ring I left on the counter. The woman I used to be. The girl who organized spreadsheets to earn her place. The strategist who built everything and signed nothing. And I whispered one sentence aloud to the empty room. They erased me. So I rewrote the ending. The end.